In this video, I want to talk about a fairly common question, and that is whether or not you can feed oxtails, raw of course, to your dog. Let's get started. Welcome to the channel, everybody. My name is Scott, the Dog Dad from DogDadOfficial.com. And if this is your first time on the channel, please make sure that you click that subscribe button as well as that little bell notification icon so that you get notified about future raw feeding videos. And really quickly, in the comments section below, let me know, do you feed your dog raw oxtails? If so, why? If not, why not? So are they safe to feed? Can you feed raw oxtails to your dog? Yes, but there are some things that, in my opinion, you do need to consider. Now, really quickly, it is important to note for us here that when I'm talking about oxtails in this capacity, I'm talking about the typically found at the store type oxtails that are cut into small sections. They almost look like little discs with meat around them and bony type content in the center, not an actual full beef tail, which is also important to note that it's beef tail and not really oxes. The first thing that I think that you should consider is your dog's size. When you compare the size of the oxtail to the size of your dog, do you think that that is an appropriate food to be feeding, or do you think that somehow that may present a choking hazard? And that's something that you need to decide on your own with your dog's size and characteristics, etc. It's etc., not etc. The second thing that I think that you should consider is what you're trying to feed it for. Are you trying to feed it as meal content, or are you trying to provide it as a meaty bone recreational chew of some kind? I say this because it could be either or. You know, if you have a medium-sized dog, then maybe an oxtail or oxtail pieces would be really appropriate for your dog as far as meal content goes. However, that same oxtail or oxtail piece may be super appropriate and super beneficial for something as small as, say, a Chihuahua. So what are you feeding it for? Are you feeding it for meal content, or are you trying to provide a recreational chew of some kind? And number three, and probably the most important other than number one, and this kind of ties into number one, is whether or not your dog is a gulper. Now, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about because you're brand new to raw feeding, which is a lot of my viewers here, the gulpers are the dogs that are just living vacuums. Gulpers are those dogs that don't give any thought whatsoever, or very little thought, to breaking that food down, chewing it if you want to say that, before they try to swallow it. They're that dog that just tries to get whatever it is that's in that bowl into their mouth and down their throat to their stomach as fast as they can. They gulp it. This can obviously present a lot of problems if that particular food is too big, or maybe it's the perfect size to be caught in that dog's throat. You know, there's lots of problems that can come from gulping. Now, don't give up hope, because I know that oxtails can be found at really cheap prices, really reasonable prices, especially if they go on some type of manager special sale, something like that. So if you look at all of these things and you decide that feeding the oxtails to your dog isn't going to be appropriate for your dog, you can still use them. What a lot of people do is they will take these oxtails and they will put it into a batch of bone broth. That way you're still getting a lot of the same nutrients, you're getting a nice batch of bone broth out of it, and you're still able to take advantage of that, you know, reasonably priced meat source. Consider your dog's size, consider what you're feeding it for, whether it's meal content or if it's a recreational chew, and be honest with yourself about whether or not your dog is a gulper. And if you look at all of these things and still decide the oxtails aren't right for your dog, you can still purchase them, take advantage of those low cost, reasonable sale prices, and use them to make a nice batch of bone broth. To learn more about or even get started with raw feeding, make sure that you check out my free 7 simple steps to raw feeding, as well as other raw feeding resources in the description box below. But most importantly, remember that you don't have to be perfect to be an amazing dog owner. You just have to do your best every day and try to improve as you go forward. Peace.